For example, if you are, let's say that you offer two different plans, you have a $100 plan and a $400 a month plan. Those plans are going to be churning at different rates. And if you're thinking about the lifetime value that a new customer is bringing in, and you know that they're either paying you $100 a month or $400 a month, you can infer particular things about what their churn behavior will be, especially as a group, especially as a time-based group that you can observe the trends over time by comparing one to another to another. And so what you ideally want to be knowing is maybe, for example, your $400 a month plan, even though that's making so much more money on the surface, maybe its churn is just so much worse that you're actually getting a higher lifetime value out of the people who sign up for your $100 a month plan. And those people are probably easier to convert too, so on and so forth. So not to say that you should be making any bold decisions about pricing or plans or positioning or anything along those lines, but having this information is significantly more helpful than flying blind, which is ultimately what you're doing if all you're really looking at is net churn and maybe those sort of semi-opaque. It shows what your churn or retention is based off of different cohorts. So you could have your May customers, June customers, July customers, etc. And then everything starts
Okay.
out like dark blue. And then
Right.
for some of them, they're like a little bit lighter blue than the other ones by the time you get to month two.
Right. You're talking about the cohort based retention analysis chart that is typically available in SaaS analytics tools.
Right. And so if you're just looking at it in terms of percentages, like, oh, the July cohort is kind of a robin's egg blue this month. That to me would be the equivalent of flying blind. That's not looking at it and saying, what's our month two retention / churn for our $100 a month plan versus our $400 a month plan? And how does that affect our ability to tell when we're going to have our cost of acquisition paid off, for example? And going back to the idea of having your new customers pay themselves off, because it always takes an investment up front to be able to get new customers. A lot of times that's called CAC, which is cost of acquiring a customer. The concept is basically that whenever you're bringing in new customers, they're not immediately profitable. And especially when you're looking at the economics of a subscription based business model, the subscriptions that you're bringing in are especially not immediately profitable. If, for example, let's just use a real world example, you have a $30 a month magazine. That's probably a really expensive magazine. Let's say it's a $15 a month magazine. The amount of money that that magazine company spent to acquire their new magazine subscriber is more than $15. And they are betting that that subscriber is going to continue sticking around month after month after month to pay off the quote unquote debt that is incurred by the company in investing to acquire them. And especially like in the case of a magazine subscription, that's probably another similar thing, kind of self-servy, where you're probably expecting churn to be higher than if you're working in an enterprise environment with 3-year-long contracts or things along those lines. And really what you're thinking is that there are going to be people who cancel after month one, people who cancel after month two, cancel after month three. And as a company, you're just going to eat that because you're hoping that people will stick around for 4 months, 10 months, 40 months, and that those people are going to pay so much more than it costs to acquire them that not only will it produce profit for you, but it's also going to offset the expenses that you lost on the people who only stuck around for 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, whatever that might be. And
Right.
so, in a similar way, when you're looking at what's called in industry terms CAC payback period, how long does it take for your new customers to at least just reach break even where they've paid off the amount that it costs for you to acquire them? That's also really affected by churn, and especially early churn. So if
Right.
your month two or month three churn is terrible, but your overall customer wide churn isn't too bad, well, good news is that your overall churn isn't too bad, but your bad news is that your way of bringing in new revenue is going to be hard to scale because for every 10 people you bring in, you're losing an outsized number of them before they even have a chance to give you their money back. And it's weird to me. I mean, this isn't the CAC payback episode, but it is weird to me that the formula for CAC payback period is, I mean, most often I see it as being CAC, which is its own calculation of marketing and acquisition expenses divided by number of new customers, divided by average revenue per account, which is, I mean, again, you're averaging out every customer in your customer base. That's not reflecting the actual, even the plans and pricing of the new customers that you're bringing in necessarily. And if you're just taking, let's say your ARPA is $50, just a nice round number, and your cost of acquiring somebody is $300, then that would mean that you have a 6-month CAC payback period. But you don't really, because for a number of reasons, like you're using giant averages and all the stuff that I was just vaguely gesturing toward, but also because you know that you're going to be losing those customers along the way. And so it's not like you can just say, well, we got 100 new customers who are paying us $50 a month and it costs $300 per customer. So in 6 months, we're going to be in the free and clear, because you're losing customers in month 2 and month 3 and month 4. And that's eating into your CAC payback and extending the payback period even further out. And it's very strange to me that the majority of the CAC payback formulas that I have come across do not even consider the fact that people will be churning out as the cohort is paying itself off.
It's the problem of abstraction all over again. So you're not paying attention to the reality of what's actually happening with a customer or a group of customers. Instead, when you treat the customer base as a whole, whether it's with churn or whether it's with CAC payback period, what you're creating is a model that tells you about the health of the entire group, but doesn't give you any more granular insight than that. And that's essentially what we mean when we say flying blind. You don't have a realistic understanding of what's happening or where things in your company are headed.